Hello, my name is Jenan Kanono. I'm the team leader at Jonaki Holdings Limited, where we get to serve you. So if you have a financial challenge, if you have a money problem, if you want to scale up your business, we have you sorted. And you can always check us out at www.thejonakiholdings.com for money solutions. We are located in Tinda as our headquarters and at Mulago Business Center as our branch. Enjoy this video. These are the best approaches that the regulator or even the government can actually use to regulate the money lenders. And you see, these are said in good heart, both for the governments as well as for the lenders. Why? Because the lenders have a challenge they're addressing, they have a solution to a problem. Because if there's a problem of lack of money for someone to do something, and if someone can provide it, then you cannot alienate the person who's solving the problem. But also, the borrowers need the money. So it is important that we protect both ends. So what are those best approaches that we as lenders, since I'm the chairperson of the association, I talk on behalf of most of the lenders, we think these are the best approaches that the government can use. Rather than capping the interest rates, rather than closing the industry, rather than creating the black market, these are the best approaches. The first approach is we need to nip down on where do these guys get the money from? Where do we get the money from? Because much of the time you do not have plenty of money that you can actually lend out. That means at a certain point you run short of money, just like banks also go to borrow or get money from the central bank. We also run short of money. So it's important to interrogate where do we get the money from that we lend. Now, if the government can interrogate and answer that question, it will be a good step. So the best approach would be putting a fund for the lenders. To know that as lenders or as the association of the lenders, we have a fund, which fund can actually give out money to formally registered people with systems and who have been in the industry for some time, or even probably short time, but key thing formalized and have the systems in place and have structures in place. So that you can know, I'm going to lend to this person at this 1%. Now I can afford to tell them to lend at 3 or 4%. Because I know the source of the money. So until the source of the money is addressed, then it's still a problem. So one of the best approaches to regulate the lenders is ensure that you have put a centralized place where the lenders can access cheap money from. Could it be a circle in the names of the association? Could be a microfinance institution specifically to lend to the lenders, but somehow that has to be addressed. The other approach is to put the capital requirement. When you're issuing the license, it is important because you see what is causing a problem is that someone wakes up with his 5 million, with his 2 million, with his 3 million to start lending. For Christ's sake, it is tricky because they want to grow the 3 million, probably 100 million to 50 million or to 300 million. And some of the methods that they will employ will be dubious. But also too, with 3 million, it becomes cumbersome to lend it out and collect it. Why? Because what collateral are you going to ask for the 3 million if you're serving a number of clients? That's why you see some of the people who probably even have not as much money because they don't have access to the money, but what they're doing is right and I support them. But because they don't have access to the money, they start with the money that they have. But now putting a capital requirement as a regulator would help to say, probably the starting point is probably 50 million. And if you have structure and you have ABCD, we can support you through the circle of the association or through this fund that we have put aside as government to support the lenders. So that even the person who has probably 10 million can go and top it up with additional 40 million to reach 50 million. Because even banks do syndicating. If I run short of money as a bank, I can actually syndicate with another bank and get money. My other branch in another country, I can even get money. International. So all this should be allowed in lending as well. I should be able to pick money if I have less money on my end. So the key thing that you need to look at as a regulator, as a best approach to regulate the money lenders, is make sure that you actually put the capital requirement. Put the capital requirement. How much do you have to start lending? And this should be informed by, because to start lending, you have to have an office. You have to have a few systems. You have to have at least 1 staff or probably 2 staff. So all these are expenses. So with the monies that you have, if you put a rate of probably 5% or 3% or 10%, can the expenses meet can the profit that you make meet the expenses? Because if they don't, that's why some of the lenders are lending at 20% or even 30%. And I kid you not, there are those borrowers who are too desperate to borrow at 30%. So we wouldn't want for such people to be taken advantage of. They also have to be supported because they need money. So the second approach is make sure that the lenders are supported with that. Put a capital requirement. It is not a direct confrontation like capping the interest rate. The other third one is, can we persuade the lenders to join the association? Can we encourage the lenders to join the association? We have the Uganda Manufacturers Association. We have the Uganda Bankers Association. All these associations advocate for the rights of those players in that industry. They advocate for the stakeholders in that industry. But if those associations are not there, that means the stakeholders cannot sustain, they cannot stand, because there are many winds, there are many blows, there are many conflict of interests, there are many hidden interests of the individuals that are benefiting from the informality that cannot allow them to thrive. But if they have the association, this is when a person will come up and say, you know what, my manufacturer needs to be protected. No, what the staff is saying, he absconded from duty, or probably it was his mistake. Otherwise, you will find that we have a number of cases for manufacturers in the courts of the law, but the association shields them. Now, you as a regulator, you need to require the lenders to belong to the association. I visited Ghana, and you see, the chairperson of the association of the lenders in Ghana signs on the licenses that are issued to money lenders. Can we get a chairperson? Can we get a representative to sit on the board of the regulator and sign? Because there are some of the lenders who lend to those people who even sign the licenses. Now you can imagine if I lend to you and you're the person who signs the license, and you look at my license, you realize that you have a loan with me, and I've been probably calling you, or people have been trying to collect on you, or probably even foreclose on some of the collateral that you committed because of non-payment. Will you give me the license? You won't give me the license. But who is there to protect me as a lender? So I ought to have my representative in the association to sit on the boards, to sit on that board, licensing board, so that I can have a representation. We've also seen some clients who have defaulted. A person genuinely defaults, they even have the capacity to pay, but they choose to default. And before you know it, they go to UMRA and they say, you know what, this person who lent me is harassing me. And there's no one to speak on behalf of the lender. And UMRA goes with the comment that, you know what, you're harassing the client. Yes, I know there's an arbitration and the discussion and asking and an interrogation, but sometimes because the lender has no representative to speak on their behalf, they are sidelined. They are not favored. And much of the time when you go to court, they favor the borrower than the lender. So what wrong has the lender done? What wrong has the lender done? So we ought to make sure that it is a requirement before someone is issued a license, you should actually be registered with the association, because then we shall get to organize the industry. So it should be a requirement, but also the association should be represented on the policymakers' table, should be represented in the signing of the licenses, should be given a provision to sign on the licenses, so that in case the lender has an issue, just like the regulator is representing the borrower, then both parties can actually be represented. Both parties can actually be heard out. Because by now, if the association was robust, if all the lenders were registered, we wouldn't be having a lot of problems. We would have sat them down and said, look, can we have standardized documents? Look, can we know which are those people who are using national IDs as collateral? Can we know of those people? We can easily even know who are those people who are doing it informally, because we know they're doing us a disservice. And then we would have seen how to support them to lift up or even close. Why? Because they are tainting our name. But the industry itself and the activity and the business of doing is not wrong. What is wrong is how it is done. And probably sometimes it is done that way because people have not been educated on how to do it the right way. So whose responsibility is it? It is us, the lenders, it is the regulators, it is the government, it is even the borrowers, because they also have a role to play. Because if you borrow, you ought to pay as well. You ought to pay because you know you borrowed, you got this money. At least know that this person also got money from somewhere. Or even if it's their money, they ought to get it back at an interest as you agreed. So also borrowers have a role to play. So they should actually pay back, but not dilly-dally or taint the name of the lenders. So I think that the key approach, there are a number of other approaches, but in the interest of time, I could highlight only 3 that we can look at to regulate and clean up the industry, rather than probably capping the rate, or rather than closing the whole industry, because those are not sustainable solutions. they are going to create more problems than the solutions they are bringing on board. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, but also highlight where you're facing a challenge so that you can nib it out. Thank you so much, and God bless you.